Greetings, everyone. P. Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. What's happening, everybody? You guys ready for some closers, top-notch closers to finish off an album? That's what we're talking about today. This is kind of part two of the last episode where we talked about those opening tracks. How about those closing tracks? Let me introduce the folks here on the panel. We got Mr. Ryan Scow is here. Rob Lasante's here. I'm going to start calling you Darth Vader, my friend.
Yeah.
We got Steve Keeler. In our center square is Karen La Preziosa.
Yeah.
Butch Jones with the kick-ass icon shirt is here. Double Deuce from Pennsylvania, Craig Comiskey is here. And all the way down from Georgia, Mr. Bryce from Bryce Talks Metal. Bryce, what's going on, everybody? How you doing?
So,
Good.
Hey, all.
All right, so I have asked everybody to pick out 5 of their favorite closers. And as we were just chatting before we started taping, this was pretty tough because there's so many great ones. And as Butch so eloquently said, sometimes you just got to pick the 5 that come to your mind first that you really believe in, because otherwise you can drive yourself nuts thinking about all the ones you forgot and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start with, we're going to go in the same order I just announced, everybody. So Ryan, you're going to kick us off with your first 2. We'll go 2, and then our top one at the end.
all right. So, obviously, there's a million possible choices. So, first one, great song. I'll go with the band I saw last night in Brooklyn. Saw one of my favorite new wave of British heavy metal bands. You know what? One of my favorite metal bands, period. Satan from England. And let me tell you, I've seen him about, I'm going to say between 9 and 10 times. It was probably the best I've ever seen him. Like, it was
So good.
it was like tingles on your skin. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I saw them about a week, 2 weeks before that with Bryce down in Texas too, and Chris. And both sets, including last night, they closed with the final song from their 1983 album, Court in the Act, which was Alone in the Dock. They finished the set, and then they come back. They did an encore. Obviously, it was at St. Vitus, so you can't leave the stage because there's nowhere to fucking go. So they just like, all right, you want to hear more songs? We'll play more songs. So they did Alone in the Dock. Great album. Some of these songs, I'm like, man, not only is this the best song on the album, but some of these songs I'm going to say, like, man, it could be my favorite song from the band, period. I don't know if this is the best song on this album, but it's up there, and I was glad to hear him play it. So, Alone in the Dock from Court in the Act. And then, also, because I just heard this song, and it's a great song, and a great album, and a great band, we saw a Triptychon. We saw it down in Texas, and they did a whole Celtic Frost set. And they played every fucking song from Morbid Tales, Emperor's Return, and to Megatherion. And I think we talked about that last time. And so the last song of the night was the last song from to Megatherion, awesome album, 1985, and that is Necromantical Screams. Great final track, way to sum up an awesome album. Great way to end the set. I mean, once it kind of became obvious, and then Chris said it too, that they were playing literally every song from these albums, which was awesome because, it wasn't like, I wish they played that. No, they played everything you want to hear. I'm like, that's got to be the last song of the night. And it was fucking good. So, Necromantical Screams from To Megatherion, Celtic Frost, 1985. And that awesome, endlessly awesome H.R. Geiger artwork because he was a friend of Tom G. Warrior. So, also from Switzerland too. So, those are my first 2 choices.
Yeah, Reed St. Mark told me lots of stories about them staying at H.R. Giger's house and whatnot over there in Switzerland. Yeah,
I know they were close friends with them. And
there's actually a documentary with them with
yes,
with
Great one.
HR guy. It was on Netflix a couple of years ago. I watched it. It was incredible.
it was really good, really interesting.
It's called Dark Star, in case anybody wants to
Yes, yep.
pick it up and see it.
I don't know if it's still on Netflix because they like to yank stuff off, but
Yeah,
I
they
don't
yanked
think
it.
so.
sure, if you want to track it down, you can.
And yes, for those wondering, Ryan did go to see Satan on Easter Sunday.
I did. We went to see myself and Karen and some other friends, and
Yeah.
you know what? We liked it so much. We're gonna see him again tomorrow. So
Right on.
see double the
Yes, we're
singing,
going
double
to
the fun.
Where are they tomorrow?
See bats.
Be anywhere. Steve.
Oh, I'm
Anywhere.
going to Morbid Angel.
It doesn't matter for Brian anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
They're playing
Oh,
in
it's a-
Troy, New York tonight.
Yeah,
Oh,
only
they're
an
so
hour away.
good, Keeler. You should really go and have some
I
fun.
already
Driving
got-
out to Walla Walla, Washington on Thursday.
I would like to see him again, but I've already got plans for Morbid Angel and Crypta
Yeah,
Revocation.
this week is ridiculous. There's bands like
Yeah.
multiple bands every night in every
I
venue.
know. We could have went to see Anvil on Saturday, but we saw a movie about Anton LaVey instead. But I mean, it's just one thing after another. It was crazy.
Was that an Easter movie with Anton LaVey?
We were going for a theme this Easter weekend.
I guess you were.
Anton
What is
LaVey
it,
and then
Brian?
Satan
3
on
days in
Easter.
the tomb, right? I mean, we had to celebrate.
3 days in the tomb. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Rob.
Yeah, so I was thinking, you guys were talking about, figure out the picks and stuff. I was going through all my music collections and I'm just going back in years and, some of these songs that I have on my list are just, they're epics. It's funny how a lot of the closer songs were, on a lot of albums became the epic song or the long 10-minute, 15 minutes, whatever it was. So this first one, number 5, going backwards, is going to be Farewell to Kings from Rush 1977, Cygnus X1.
Oh,
One of the
good
most
one.
epic songs I ever heard. I was 15 years old when this song came out. And it's also my favorite Rush
One
album
down.
personally. Yeah, it's my favorite Rush album. So for me, when I first heard that, I must have played that album 100 times in a week. And I could never get enough of that song. I mean, how it starts off real slow and then, just builds up. And then that bass line that Geddy does in the middle, doom, 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 it's crazy. And so that's one of my favorite. That's actually one of my all-time favorite songs also. Number 4, another epic song. And this is the band that got me into melodic death metal is Opeth, Blackwater Park, self-titled 2001.
Nice.
That's when I first got into death metal. I really wasn't a death metal guy until I heard Opeth and I heard, I didn't care for growling at the time, not till later, but I loved the musicianship so much that I kind of just, ignored the growling in the beginning. And, the clean vocals were there too anyway. But for me, this is one of the best songs they ever did. And it's a great closer on that album, which is an epic album anyway. It's a masterpiece. So those are my first 2 picks.
Great choices. I had Blackwater Park as one of my honorable mentions, so very cool. Mr. Keeler.
Hey, so in no particular order, I picked 5, and I got a couple honorable mentions if we're doing that tonight. I guess for my 5th, I'm going with a 1983 album, Merciful Fate. Melissa, of course, the name of the album is the final track on the album also. So I will go with that one. And then moving next, I'm going to stick in some devil music along with Merciful Fate. I'm going to, I didn't write the date for this down. I'm slipping. It's Watain, Lawless Darkness album, The Waters of Ain, which is 14 minutes and 31 seconds of just epic black metal from the Watain camp. And I will circle around and give you the date on that if I can dig it up, but I don't have it written down. So I'm slipping here.
Yeah, that was like 2013 or something, Steve? Or maybe
Yeah, 2000. Yeah, that's close enough.
It's around early 2010s.
2010, 2011, somewhere in there.
Just a great song though. Just nice closer. An epic song as Rob was picking.
It's a great song.
a lot of good epics. Cool. Karen.
Okay. All right. Here it is again, and it's called 12XU, the closing track to Wire's classic Pink Flag. It's an iconic punk record, and it's a very influential album. I don't know. That's it. That's how it starts. It's been covered by Minor Threat, Dag Nasty, I believe, Naked Ray Gun, all kinds of great punk bands, and it's a great spot. If you were ever curious about intelligent punk, Wire, Pink Flag is a great album to start. My next one is Black Sabbath, Into the Void. I think it's a great bookend between the end for Master of Reality with Sweet Leaf, and those eye-rolling, bending riffs that just, I love it. I can't get enough. So I think that's my second choice for this round is Into the Void. And the lyrics are great.
Yeah, the lyrics are great.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good Sabbath choices.
I know. It's perfect.
Yeah, that was one of my honorable mentions too. It's a great one. All right, Butch.
Well, obviously, when you're talking about ending tracks, basically you're talking about an epic, and an album. So it's supposed to be an epic. So yeah, Rob already got. I was going to say Cygnus as well. This is where I came in with Rush when I was a kid, when I was 10, 77. So not to use the same one, I'll pick something different. So we'll go with Light in the Black from Rainbow Rising.
Good one.
Cozy fucking power, as everyone likes
Yeah,
to hear
right
me
on.
say for some reason. And easily
I had a feeling you were gonna pick that. That's why I didn't pick it.
oh well, no, I was good backup anyway. But like I said before, you could pick any five. These are all albums that I love and songs that I love. So it's fairly easy. At least a substitute too. But yeah, I love that. And that is depending on the day, either my number one or number two favorite solo from Richie Blackmore on that song. Just brilliant. Just defines everything that Blackmore is, just beautifully articulate and bombastic at the same time. So awesome. And when you're talking about epics, I mean, Jesus. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, Maiden 85,
Boom.
84. Awesome. I mean, what else can you say? It's a 13-minute song, and any person that's out there that was a Maiden fan at that time in high school, probably like me, you had an English teacher that you kind of got yourself endeared with when you talked about Maiden, and you showed them that they wrote a song about a poem, and you let your English teacher borrow it so they could hear it, critique it, and then give it back to you. They all of a sudden looked at you a lot different. So yes, I had a teacher, Miss Kiefer, in John Jay High School in New York, in Hopewell Junction, New York. And I kept talking about it, and she raised her eyebrow at me like, "What?" And I let her borrow it, and she's like, "That was really good."
That's
So
cool.
Maiden's, so Maiden and Rainbow, they're my two.
I never tried that, Butch.
Oh, it worked. I can tell you that. I had to ask for my record back, but it.
Great story.
Unfortunately, I was already 5 years out of high school, so
You won't
Sorry.
fight.
Cool. All right, we're off to a good start here. Craig.
Right on.
All right, thanks. I had picked for my first one here from 1977. You can't go wrong with some great rock and roll. 42, 39, 56. You could say she got it all. And that's a whole lot of Rosie from AC/DC. Great song, still lives on today, whether Bond sings it or if Brian sings it. So it's a classic, and it's remained true for close to 50 years now.
Or Axel.
Yeah.
What a great song. What a great
And
song.
my second pick is one that it's maybe one of the first metal gallops or metal gallop, and that is Hard Lovin' Man from Deep Purple's In Rock, where you got Richie Blackmore just giving a killer solo, John Lord with these high-pitched keyboards, and just the chugging riff of it that goes along, and Ian Gillan just screaming his ass off at some of these parts. Just a classic song. Great way to end this album, and again remains true classic 50 plus years after first hearing it.
I'm glad I came with a lot of picks today, because a lot of mine are already getting talked about. So yeah,
Yeah.
always good to come to a show like this with lots of choices.
Well,
'Cause then we
especially
get a
when
lot
you
of
go
variety.
last.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Bryce.
All right. And so my number 5, I was tossing a few around, but I think I'm going to go with Pete and Karen's favorite band here, Wasp. The Torture Never Stops from that debut. I mean, that's an amazing closing track there.
That
You
is a
got
good song. I will
It
give
is a
you
great
that.
song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, Randy Piper, Chris Holmes, that amazing guitar tone. The riff is just sick, and Blackie's voice, so awesome. But that is my number 5. Number 4, I'm going to go with Mean Street Rider, which is the closing track to this album here, Chasing the Dream by Skullfist from 2014. They played at Hell's Heroes. I got to see them, I mentioned before, so big bucket list band for me to see. They're one of my favorites, and this is like a top 10 album of all time for me. And Mean Street Rider, great one to close it out. Basically, they're like the best modern band that encapsulates that classic 80s sound for me. So anybody that's looking for a modern band with that 80s sound, I think Skullfist does it the best. Basically, it's like a blend of Dokken, Exciter, and Iron Maiden to compare it to classic bands. But that is my number 4. And I got Nick's picks as well. I'll give his first 2, or his 5 and 4 here. He's got Morbid Lust by Shooter. and Wolfheart by Moonspell.
Nice.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. All
Aren't they
right.
playing- aren't they playing too, Moonspell?
End of the month, I'll be in
Yeah.
New York and
Yeah.
Philly.
Oh my God.
I'm hitting Philly for that one.
Never ends, right? It's just
Yeah.
bands coming around now. It's crazy.
Wow.
It was like that last year, wasn't it? Like October, like every band was coming
It
around.
was pretty similar. I think this actual week is the week like mid-October was. It's always it's like that a lot, even before the pandemic, where a lot of the club tours seem to happen in this March, April, and then
Spring.
back around October, November. Yeah.
And May's
Yep,
pretty
it's
busy
It's like
too.
that
springtime.
every year.
It is pretty much, but
Once the weather starts to break in the east, you know.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. All right. I'm going to kind of carry on with this whole kind of epic thing that a couple of you spoke about. And one of the first songs that came to mind for me for this was the closing track to an album I love quite a bit. And it's one of their great songs. It's the ending song to Lights Out by UFO. The song is Love to Love.
nice.
That cool keyboard intro and the slow build to that song and the kick-ass Michael Schenker solo. Such a dramatic song. It's one of my favorite UFO songs. Excellent stuff right there. And then I had to do this one. Part of me thinks that Butch has it ready to go as well, but it's arguably the greatest closer of all time. Emerald by Thin Lizzy.
Oh, what a great one.
I may or may not have it.
Never heard that one. Right?
There's a couple other Thin Lizzy ones too, but this was for me. I mean, this is a no-brainer. It's probably my favorite Thin Lizzy song, and it just ends a fabulous album in such a great way. It's so heavy, it's so regal, it's so Irish. It's amazing. It's twin guitars, and Phil sounds amazing. So yeah, Emerald by Thin Lizzy and Love to Love by UFO are my first two picks for today.
Right on.
Song
Back
that
to
totally
Ronnie.
encapsulates Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
All right, Ryan, what else you got?
Yeah, there was when you first announced the show, there was two songs that first came to mind. The other one hasn't been mentioned yet, but the other one immediately was Emerald. I'm like, well, everyone's gonna pick Emerald because it's like one of the greatest songs ever written.
Yeah.
And that riff is just, maybe one of the best top 5 riffs ever written by any band. So I'm like, I can't pick that because everyone's gonna pick it. But I'm gonna stick with the epic, and we're gonna go to the great little city of Yonkers, New York here. Favorite band from Yonkers. I know. So good band. They've been around a long time. Steve knows them. They've played. I've seen them many, many times. In 2000, they put out an album that is, I think, their best album, and it's a death metal band. And they wrote an 8+ minute song, and it's not like Opeth kind of death metal. It's just straight up down in the trenches death metal. So to write an 8+ minute song in that style and keep it interesting and fresh, and not make it suck is very tough. But they did it. I'd say maybe the best song they ever wrote, possibly. I'm always glad when they play it. That band is Immolation. The album is Close to a World
Yes.
Below. There's
Wow,
a
they're
little
from Yonkers?
Yeah, Yonkers, New York. Ross Dolan, Bob Vigny, Yonkers.
Where I grew up.
Not there anymore. I think they all moved away, but yeah, back then they were from Yonkers. Alex Hernandez, I think the best drummer they ever had. Sorry, Steve, their current drummer. Not you, Steve, the other Steve. Yeah, but
I'm
dude
not
was
the current
fucking-
drummer.
Yeah, no, a monster on the drums. Alex was an absolute beast, and he on this album he fucking kills it. But the title track, Close to World Below, 8+ minutes, just maybe the best Immolation song ever. And they're one of my favorite death metal bands, so that puts it in high running for one of the best death metal songs of all time for me. And the next one, we're gonna move from Yonkers, we're gonna cross the ocean and go to the Czech Republic. And I'm gonna go to, how do I check the year on this? Because the year for this one's a little important. Let's see, 1991. So this was an album and a band that ended up being hugely influential on all the second wave black metal, all the stuff that Nick talks about all the time, the Norwegian and Finnish stuff, all that stuff. This album is arguably like the album that put the mold together for how these bands play, like the riffs, the song construction, the mood, the atmosphere. Huge influence on that. The band was Master's Hammer. All the lyrics are in Czech, so I can't sing along to any of it. I don't speak Czech. The album is called Ritual. Great album, and it's just a very iconic album. It kind of bridges between like what you'd hear from like Mayhem and Immortal and these other bands, and then like the 80s, like Merciful Fate and Celtic Frost. It was kind of like halfway, but obviously some of the Norwegian bands came later, so it's kind of like a halfway point between those. Still a lot of like classic traditional heavy metal. They use like a lot of the timpani drums that Celtic Frost used, those big bombastic like boom boom like war drums. The last song was called. I'm gonna butcher this because I don't know how to speak. It's just UTOK. Utak. If anybody speaks Czech and they can.
Wait a minute, you don't speak Czechoslovakian?
No,
and
I
you
don't.
get
I'm sorry to upset
Czechoslovakian
you.
record?
Yeah, that's very upsetting, isn't it, Steve?
Yes, it is. Why-
Li-
You need a
listen to Steve-
translator.
Listen to Steve dating himself saying Czechoslovakia.
I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
that,
yeah.
Butch. I was thinking that.
Berlin Wall fell, Steve. It's time to move to the future. Anyways,
Oh, well.
and then, like
because of hockey.
it's kind of the epic of the album too.
You
It's
just
over
know because
7
of
minutes.
hockey, yes.
It's just great, iconic, heavy black metal. It's like a little heavy metal, a little bit of Melissa, a little bit of Old Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath, a little bit of what came later. Awesome album. But the other reason I mentioned this is not just one of my favorite albums, and I love it, but obviously I had a huge list of albums to pick from. So one of the reasons, I'll be honest, I picked this is because discussing this, with Karen and some other people in a group text, the guitarist for this band goes by, and this is probably on his birth certificate, I think his mom named him this, it's a good Christian name, goes by the name Necrocock. Can you see that?
Oh, come
There
on.
he is. So, and I told my friend, he's like, please mention that. And I'm like, I will. Necrocock will be mentioned there. So there you go. Master's Hammer.
You heard it first here, folks.
Necrocock. There he is.
Wow.
And he's a very capable guitarist too. Good leads, good rhythm.
Of course he is.
With a
Of course
name
he
like
is.
that.
With a name like that, you
yeah.
better. So with a name like that, you better fucking pull your weight. So here's the band. There's a little Necrocock hanging
Where
out.
is he?
Well, you know what? I'm not 100% sure.
Oh,
He's
come
somewhere.
on.
He's somewhere in this group of fine Czech individuals.
He led
none
us
of
right to the wall and then, okay, I'm sorry.
none of the other guys have names. They have pseudonyms like black metal, but none of them have a name quite like Necrocock. So
Say it right.
there we go. So Master's Hammer, Ritual 1991, Necrocock. That is fine. Keep it together,
To
Karen.
Mr. and
Jeez.
Mrs. Cock.
I can't believe you said it.
I'm telling you, if you saw his birth certificate, it just might be the name. I don't want to.
Surprised he
Yeah,
hasn't
There,
gone
I don't
solo.
want to. I don't want to assume. So,
Hey.
that was for my
Sorry,
friend
I can't
Pogo.
believe you said
So, that was for my friend Pogo. He's like, please mention that. I'm like, of course I'm going to mention that. Are you crazy? So,
I don't think I'm gonna be able to top that one. I'm sorry.
No.
you know what? It doesn't have like the music isn't like it doesn't sound like that name implies. It's just like good heavy black metal. If you like Merciful Fate, you'll probably like Master's Hammer. The vocals are a little weird, but get over it. But yeah, great album. So there you go. That's for you,
Missing
Pogo. Moving on.
So
All
for
right,
Michael,
so-
our viewer Michael, who always types in the takeaways and all the funny shit that we say during
Yeah.
that's now going to be the number one for this week.
Oh, yeah.
Just gave him some good ammunition, right?
Oh,
there.
you did.
That's like 1
Now
through
that's
6.
upsetting. Jesus.
We all have to Google Necrocock.
Mr. and Mrs.
I don't
Cock. I
need
like-
to Google Necrocock. I don't
Be
wanna
careful
know.
if you Google that.
Exactly.
Make sure safe search is on.
So Rob, you have the undeniable task of following that one up. So
Yeah, I know. Well, my next two picks are this one's from 1990, a band that I got into a little bit later than probably you guys did. And that the band is Slayer, and the song is Season in the Abyss.
Oh, I love that one.
It is my favorite Slayer song, period.
Wow.
For me, it's my favorite Slayer song. I remember the first time I heard it, I just fell in love with it, when I listened to that album. And it's one of the, I have usually a mixed play, and that's always on there because it's just one of my favorite songs from Slayer. I'm not the biggest Slayer fan. I like a lot of their stuff. But for me, that song was an epic song, from beginning to end. The next band for me is one of my favorite bands. A lot of people don't know, unfortunately. It's a melodic death / doom metal band called Daylight Dies. I mentioned them once before on the show. And Dismantling Devotion, which came out in 2006, and it's their title track, which they ended. It's an instrumental. It's about, I think, 8 minutes, 8 minutes of just pure heavy, drop C, dirgy, and melodic instrumental. It's an incredible song. If you don't know them, go check them out on YouTube or whatever. Daylight Dies, Dismantling Devotion. It's one of the greatest melodic death metal, doom metal albums that I've ever heard. It's still it's always on my top 10 of that genre for me. So check them out.
that's a great choice. Such a good album. Nobody knows about that album either. Really good stuff. Good band.
Yep. And actually, two of the guys from the band have been doing some other work. They worked even with what's his name, the singer from Night. Nightingale.
Oh, Dan Swano.
Yeah, they've been working with Dan Swano on some stuff too. It's called MMXX. Came out last year.
Oh wow, cool. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
good stuff
Yeah,
too.
Dan
They got a
Swano's
little-
great.
Yeah.
Cool. Steve.
Hey, alrighty. So, boy, I've got a list of things here, and I was gonna pick one that I'd really like to pick, but I think Butch is gonna pick it. If he doesn't at the end, I'm gonna call him out for it.
All
But I'm
right.
going with something else. I'm going to go with the 1987 album from Overkill, The Years of Decay. And I'm going with Who Tends the Fire.
That's
I
great.
always thought that was a great song. I remember Bobby Blitz like breaking down and at L'Amour's when it was closing. And it's just, I think it's a great song. I can always never get enough of Who Tends the Fire. The next one I'm going with is a pretty obvious one. It's from the band Iron Maiden. It's from the Number of the Beast album, 1982. It's the closing track of Hallowed Be Thy Name,
Oh my gosh.
which could be the best Iron Maiden song ever. Could
And
be.
one of the best closes of all
Wrong.
time. Too. Yeah, it's-
That was the other one besides Emerald. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
it.
pick
Yeah,
'cause
we have to mention that one. Yeah, someone's
so
got
good.
So
Yeah.
I mentioned that. I left one out there, I'm hoping that Butch is going to catch my pass on that one.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Karen.
If someone
Okay.
else doesn't.
I'm gonna go with first one I'm gonna say is Limb from Limb from Motorhead's Overkill album.
Great
Such
choice.
a great album, and the album has a certain pace, and then that slows down. You really hear that dirty bluesy guitar of Fast Eddie Clarke. I love it. It's one of my favorite Motorhead songs. And then it picks it back up and we're right where we started. And it's such a great tune. Really just slow and dirty, just like Motorhead should be. Well, maybe not the slow part, but the dirty, grimy shit. You really get that feeling from that song. I think it's personified. And my next one is, I'm not going to have a hard time pronouncing this. Ebethron from The Sword, off of Age of Winters. I really like The Sword. I know a lot of douchey people like The Sword, but I still like The Sword.
Do they?
I like
shouldn't
the
disqualify. That shouldn't-
I guess I'm a
There's a
douchey
lot of
person
people
too.
who kind of give me like, "Ugh," but who love The Sword, and I love The Sword, and my boyfriend loves The Sword, and Mr. Keeler does too. So I'm gonna
Well,
say
I
that
don't
Age of
know.
Winters is a great album, and just when you think the end, when that drum solo kind of peters out, and then all of a sudden it starts back up again. It's got an atmospheric beginning, and at the end, I really like that guy's vocals, JT's vocals. And when he's like screaming the words, it's just so guttural, and yeah, where's my sword? I want to freaking kill something. You know what I mean? It's so great. I really love that whole album, and that closer for me is a great one. So
That's a great choice. Great band. It's a shame that they're no more, you know?
yeah, I know. I saw them one time, and people were just turning around and leaving. I think it's when they did Low Country when they released that. And I
No,
thought,
that's kind of a weird album. Yeah, I like it, but yeah,
but to turn your back on them and walk out,
it's not cool. Not cool.
Those are the douchey people that did that.
Probably.
you're damn straight.
There you go. There you
Oh,
go.
it's a new song. I don't like it. I thought, like the guys going to Queensryche today. I thought they were only going to play tape material. I've been seeing that all day. Like, oh no, they're not going to play the new stuff.
People still think that Tate's in the band. Oh, Jeff's not in the band. I'm like, what?
I
We did
know,
that
it's
for
so
8 years.
messy.
I don't even get it.
Yeah,
It's such a messy breakup too. How could they not be aware of that?
yeah, exactly. All right, Butch, what are you drinking tonight?
I have to get a ring light. This sucks. I can never get this right.
Yeah.
I can't see it at all.
Yeah.
Holy shit! It's
see a
too
horse.
bright.
I
when
see
go
a horse. I
I
see
see
a
a
horse.
horse.
A guy on a
Right.
horse.
It's called Horse and Jockey by Taconic Distillery.
Oh, but look.
Oh, cool.
It's 125 proof.
Oh, it's a local?
It's smooth as
Whoa.
fucking shit. It's my favorite. It's awesome.
I
I
heard you
wonder
have some
why.
Thin Lizzy whiskey coming in the mail.
I will. I'm gonna order a case of that. Trust me. I hope it's good. Because if not, I'll just be displaying the bottles.
There you go.
Souvenirs.
All right, Butch,
Um,
2 picks.
So number 3, Randy Rose and Ozzy, Diary of a Madman.
Great. I forgot all about that
Yeah,
one.
you know, an apropos way to end Randy Rhoads's career, ending
Oh,
with a phenomenal piece
Yeah.
You know, it's such a classical driven piece, and that's where Randy was going. So,
Arguably Ozzy's best song ever in his solo.
oh my God, he didn't write anything like that after that, did he?
Nope.
But yeah, you talk about epic. I mean, there's everything about that song is epic. So that was an easy one. Mr. Keeler, this might be what you were talking about. So for my number 2,
No.
Oh, another
Black
good one.
Rose from
That was
Thin
the
Lizzy.
other one I was talking about by Thin Lizzy.
Kings and
Yeah.
Queens dance.
That's
Great
just,
song. Great song.
again, another song that really sums up with Thin Lizzy about the whole Celtic thing of Gary Moore. Just it's funny, Gary Moore plays on this, and his little people that don't have it is Gary up there on the top there.
Yep.
For people that know the song but don't know a whole lot about the song, Gary Moore, there's a part in the middle of it where it gets very, very Celtic, and there's 2 specific guitar tracks left and right. And there's Gary and Scott Gorham. Gary does both those guitar parts. So for people that didn't know that, yeah, Gary Moore is, and he's Irish. He's from Belfast, Northern Ireland. So there's a whole lot of Irish going on in that song. So yeah, that's just beyond brilliant. So yeah, that's an easy number 2.
Cool.
What happened to Keeler?
I don't know.
He
I
is
think he
faded
wa-
into the
he-
abyss.
I think he went to go get
Followed
what
up
he
by the
thinks-
room.
I don't know if he
He melted into the posters.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he turned
I
into
know
Job
he-
of the Hut. Oh, he's back. Yeah, he melted into the posters, turning to like psychedelic Job of the Hut again. Just slowly melt into the couch. There, Steve.
I had something going on in the house, and I was like, "What's this noise?" Sorry.
Well, cool. Craig.
All right, thanks. Also one of my favorite bands is Motorhead that Karen had mentioned before, and they have lots of classic album enders like Limb from Limb,
Yeah.
Bomber, The Hammer, Orgasmatron, but I didn't pick that one. I took one from one of their 90s albums. It's maybe a little bit unsung perhaps, and it's Out of the Sun from 1995's Sacrifice. This is the last album that Wurzel plays on with the band, and there's only 2 of the 11 songs that he has solos on, and one of them is the last song, Out of the Sun. So it's kind of a cool little send-off track for him. Yeah, and he after he had left the band, and they went back to being a 3-piece of Lemmy, Mickey D, and Phil Campbell. But really good song. If you don't know this, check it out, Out of the Sun. And my second one, I'm not sure if this is one that Bryce or Butch might pick, but today is Warren DeMartini's birthday. So I had picked Dangerous But Worth the Risk from 1985's Invasion of Your Privacy. Really good rock and roll song, cool solos on it, and it's just a good, fun, kick-ass track from Rat. So Dangerous But Worth the Risk.
That's a good song. Cool. Bryce.
All right. For my number 3, I'm tossing a few around here. Megadeth tracks. I want to include one, but I'm going to do Ashes in Your Mouth from Countdown. There's several I could have gone with here, but I think that's a slightly underrated song. I think it's easily the best song on that album. It's the thrashiest song on that album, in my opinion. So amazing guitar work as usual from Marty and Dave.
You think that's the best from that? You think that's the best track on that record?
That's my favorite on it. Yeah. I think it's really just an amazing song. Some really great dual harmonizing stuff. I'm seeing Marty this Friday in Nashville, so if anybody's there, say what's up. But looking forward to that. That's an amazing song. And my number 2 was already mentioned, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Just epic song. And Nick's next 2 choices were Halloween, Midnight Sun, which is from their 98 album, Better Than Raw, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also, or his number 2 was Dante's Inferno by Iced Earth.
Oh, that's a good song.
I forgot about that
Yeah,
myself.
right?
It's a great song.
That's a
What the hell's the
bang.
matter with me?
Yeah.
A
That's how
whole
it
lot.
goes.
More than we can get into on this show, Rob.
Yeah.
16 minutes
That's one of the best Ice Earth songs ever. Fuck
live.
Yeah.
Live even better.
Live in Athens.
Oh, the Live in Athens version is unbelievable.
That's how I got into Ice Earth, was that album. I was like,
They
that
fucking
was it.
kill it on that track.
That's my favorite live album of all time. So
It's a great one.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
All right. My next pick, I'm going to go back to 1970 for the closing track on Trapez's Medusa. It is the title track, Medusa. A very, very young Glenn Hughes on vocals, Mel Galley on guitars, and Dave Holland soon to be in Judas Priest on drums. Killer. It's heavy. It's doomy. It's awesome. That's my first one here. That's number 3. And number 2, I'm going to go to another. This is a debut album, a great debut album. And it's probably the heaviest song the band ever did. I still love it to this day. Working Man by Rush. From the
Oh,
first
absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Love that song.
A lot of
Oh.
good Rush choices, right? But I figured let me go all the way back to the beginning. I still love the riff. It's just so heavy.
Oh,
And
it is.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's my number 2.
Good choice.
Back to Ryan.
All right, so a couple of you guys have mentioned how the closing track should be an epic, big, grandiose song, and I agree with that. So I was thinking, what's the best album ending song that fits that? And obviously some have been mentioned, but my personal favorite, is a somewhat obscure band, but not weird, from Greece, from Athens, Greece. They put out an album in 2006, which was kind of a tribute to a Korthon from Bathory, who had passed away from a heart attack, I believe, in 2004. So not long before the release of this album, he passed away. He was pretty young, only 39 when he died. Wow. And the band is Zemil from. They started off as a black metal band, and then on this particular album, it's kind of like, since it is a tribute to Bathory, it's a very like grandiose, epic, like that Blood, Fire, Death, Hammerheart Bathory. And now the current stuff they almost sounds like black metal mixed with like Eloy or like Van de Graaff Generator. They're just all over the place. Great band. But their 2006 album, which the only vinyl version is kind of this weird picture disc, so I had to grab this out. It's called In Monumentum, and the title track is called In Monumentum, Son of the Ages. And it's just one of those songs where if I put it on, I can't be in a crowd. I have to have headphones on or listening to it kind of in solitude, because it's very grandiose. Starts off with this kind of like this nice, like softly plucked, like acoustic intro, and it builds up into like this pounding, never fast. It just is solid, like very somber, very like mournful, kind of like lamenting the passing of a loved one, because Bathory was a big influence on this band. So it has like a real heartfelt quality to it. But yeah, they only have a couple albums. They have a new album coming out maybe this year, but only 3 full lengths, and they've been around since 1992. So they take their time with things. But this 2006 album is fucking great. So yeah, it's on YouTube. You can find it easily. But yeah, the song In Monumentum by Zemil, just awesome. Whole album's great. Everything they've done is great. One of my favorite bands, but it's definitely my favorite song by the band. Every time I hear it, like really just fucking, it gives you that tingling sensation, which good epic heavy metal should do, and this song does it as much as Hallowed Be Thy Name or any of these other awesome tracks. So yeah, my number 1 has got to be Zemil, just because it hits you, that very, very like, first time I heard it, I'm like, fuck, this is so good. So it still gets me that way all these years later. So it was an easy pick for my number 1.
Hang on a second, because Nick's not here, so now you get it. What the fuck does that say? Spell it.
We
ZEMIAL.
Wow. All right.
That is also a pretty cool logo, though. That is a pretty.
It is a cool logo.
With
So
the sword in the
last
middle.
night, I'm gonna call a complete fucking detour. We're watching Satan in the singer for Satan, Brian Ross, very like
Oh my God.
very, very, very English, and very like English, like a funny
Funny.
kind of English, in a good way, that good English sense of humor. Some dude kept showing like the English band Jaguar, Power 1983, and he's like, the singer stopped. He's like, I don't understand why this guy keeps wanting to show me this Jaguar shirt. We're not Jaguar. And he points to the banner behind him. He's like, what does that say? SATAN, Jaguar. No? Like fucking with the guy. And then the guy was kind of like, like just fucking
right
funny.
over his head. He was so
Yeah,
drunk.
well, if it was as high over his head like a 747, it was great. But
Wow.
yeah, that says ZEM. Remember that old, it was like picture page. Remember that old 80s show? IAL, Zemil.
See,
Yeah.
the sword looks like a T. That's why I'm like, wait a minute, how do you get that out of that?
Oh yeah, any logo that kind of gets a sword in it, I guess is kind of fucking cool. So I'll give him that. But, yeah, I like that logo a lot. It is one of my favorite like black metal logos.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but their newer stuff is like a weird. It's actually, you know what? I'd say their more recent stuff. If you like Opeth, check it out. You probably like it because it has that same prog black metal, that kind of realm. So yeah, give it a shot.
Any clean vocals at all or no?
Yes, clean and raspy, but the raspy vocals are very they're very discernible. They're not like you can always tell what he's saying. Nothing I guess that's the way to say it. Yeah, they're very easy to pick out. And there's a lot of clean singing too. And that particular song I'm talking about has a lot of clean singing in it too. So it's good stuff.
Meanwhile, the guy who was in the audience last night with the Jaguar shirt might be watching the show, and he's probably saying to himself
Oh,
right now,
he
I
doesn't
didn't
remember
know he was
anything.
that funny
Trust
what he
me.
did last night, right?
I think that guy was enough
He
beers
doesn't
in
remember
where, yeah,
anything.
Karen's right. But if he is watching, you know, oh, it was all good fun because the singer was obviously, you know, he's taking a piss on him. But yeah, it was a good time, good show, great show.
What a performer.
It was really good.
All right, Rob, your final
Yeah,
pick.
well, listen, this is tough. I have some honorable mentions, and you know, I knew you guys were gonna pick "Hallowed Be Thy Name," so, but for Iron Maiden, which is obviously one of my favorite bands of all time. I remember 1983 when I heard the Peace of Mind album, and then when they closed it with the Tame of Land.
Awesome.
Yes.
Great song.
First time I heard a song, I mean, you know, Rush and everything was proggy, but this was a metal band that was almost like, it kind of reminded me of prog, how it started off real slow, you know, and then it got heavier and heavier, and then Steve Harris is galloping bass in it in the middle, and that whole solo, and then it closes off again, you know, with the same lead it opened up with, and it was just like Ryan just said, it gave me a feeling like I never had before for a band that I didn't think would do something like that. You know, I wasn't expecting it, I guess that's what it is. And it's still today one of my favorite songs from Iron Maiden. I think "Hallowed Be Thy Name" is a great song, of course. I loved it every time they toured, although they didn't play it for a few years, if you guys remember.
Thank God.
They couldn't
It's
play
a great
because,
song, but do you need to hear it every tour? I know I certainly don't.
and that's
I
why
love
I'm
it, but
pissed. I'm pissed off because they never played this song. They never played the Tame of Land live.
They did on that tour.
Yeah, that was the last time, though. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. They don't ever play it anymore. Just like they don't play a lot of something. Well, we're not going to get into that. But anyway, for me, this is the #1 song for me for Iron
I
Maiden.
love it. You know what it was about that song though? You know, the epic. I mean, the prog thing. I
And the
think Maiden
Dune
was-
thing.
Maiden had already kind of been doing that, you know, in different things. So I wasn't surprised with that. What it was for me was the Egyptian aspect. To have the whole Egyptian thing in there, you're like, whoa, that's, but knowing that it was about Dune and all of that, you know, it was that it was like you said, hearing that for the first time, it's just like it made you sit down and just just close your eyes and just let it wash over you and just soak it all in. It was just amazing.
Yep.
Love
Great.
that song for sure.
Yeah.
And for me, I'll take that over "Hallowed Be Thy Name" any day.
Wow.
Well, I mean, because it seems fresher, right? Because you haven't heard it.
Well,
You definitely
I mean,
don't hear it nearly as much, especially if you see them live.
Oh,
10
yeah.
times like
True.
I do.
I mean, even back then, to be honest with you, I love "Hallowed Be Thy Name." Don't get me wrong, but you know, you have "Hallowed," you have "To Tame a Land," and then you have "Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner." So there's 3 in a row that are just 3 of the greatest metal songs ever written. You know, epics anyway, right there, one after the other. But I loved "Hallowed Be Thy Name," but I've always loved "To Tame a Land" more. It's just a different animal.
It totally is. Yeah.
Alexander the Great's not bad either. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
well, they went a
bad,
little
but-
too far.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
and you're probably not going to hear it on next year's tour
Yeah,
when they're
probably not
going
gonna
through
hear it.
somewhere in time.
No, you bank on
You
that.
never now that you said that, I wouldn't be surprised if they do bring it out and not play some of their other stuff.
Prove us wrong, please.
But you know, would be a nice surprise though, really.
So put in the books, Rob did not pick a Judas Priest song today.
Well,
Let the record
Yeah.
show. We got honorable
Not yet.
mentions. We're not done yet.
we're not done yet.
Steve, what do you got?
I'm going with my #1 on here, which I'm still stealing one from Butch, is Black Sabbath from the Mob Rules album, Falling Off the Edge of the World.
That's
That's
a
all
great
right.
song. Fuck yeah.
I just know he
Wait a
likes
minute.
it.
Over and over is the
Not
last.
the
I was
last-
gonna
yeah,
say
it's
that's
not the
not the last song. I was gonna-
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Nice try, Steve.
Did I mess that up? All right.
Yeah, I'm like,
over
wait
and
a
over,
minute.
yeah.
That's not
Nice setup, Steve.
I was
Fall-
just thinking about
I'm
it.
going
love
with my
that
number
song.
one, which is
Oh,
not the
over and
last song
over
on
is
the
the
album.
last. I totally messed up. All right, I'll switch it to something else.
Yeah, I
Well,
love
what
that
are your
song though.
mentions?
That
Your
song's
honorable
just
mentions?
bad.
I messed
a great
that up
one.
completely today.
It
I was
is a
rushing
great
around
song.
doing.
They should have ended it with that.
Yeah, they really should.
Yeah, I really messed up.
But
I'm
they
sorry.
did. They
That's
should
all
have,
right.
but they did.
All right, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with something that no one else would have picked for my final, and then I'll have honorable mentions when you wrap around. I'm going with 1997, Hammerfall, "Glory to the Brave." I love this song. I've used it for a memorial for one of my favorite little pets that passed away a few years ago. I put the video up for it. It's all about losing someone you loved, and hopefully meeting them on the other side, on the Rainbow Bridge and the gates of Valhalla. But it's all very epic. Hammerfall, glory to the brave. So that's my pick. Since I screwed up completely and I'm
That's
on
still a
Black
good
Sabbath.
pick.
No wonder Butch wasn't going to pick it because it wasn't the last song.
That's a good song.
But you were right though. I do love that song though.
Wow, I really messed that up today.
It's all right.
What was I looking at?
Please
A
about
weird
Dirty
version of
Lashes.
Steve was
Well.
looking at his old 8-track, right?
Yeah, it was the last song on the 8-track, bro.
Might have been.
Click, click.
Yep.
Yeah, over is
exactly.
a bad closer compared to that. Would have been a perfect close.
Oh, it would have been a great closer, yeah. I mean, nothing against Over and Over, but it's
It's a good song, and maybe because the other one's a better song for me. You kind of like, it's the last one you really remember. Although
Right.
Over and Over,
Maybe that's why.
it's not bad, but
I already skipped over the last one after
Could
that.
be
one.
Hold Off the
just
Edge of the
another
World is
direction, like
fucking,
you said.
that is great.
Ooh.
to me, Over and Over is too much like the closer on Heaven and Hell. It's like they chose to
Mhm.
end both albums like almost the exact same way. Both great songs, but yeah. All right, Karen.
Dissident Aggressor from Judas Priest, Sin After Sin.
Yes.
Enough said, bitches.
Perfect.
Enough said. Best
Perfect.
freaking song
I
out of
did-
ever from Judas
I
Priest.
have it here just in case I had to pull it out.
Yeah, it's my favorite. It's not really epic, I guess, but
It kind of is.
It's kind of got that.
The intro is amazing. The intro is amazing, and talk about a gut reaction when you hear Halford's voice. I can't even. I'm not even.
yeah.
Oh, don't even try that scream.
No, I know.
That's a
It's
scream.
just amazing. It's amazing. It really got me right in the gut, and
Absolutely.
that's what I was looking for. And I've never seen Priest sing it. It's a great fucking song, and
Sure is.
it to me, it's the best closer ever. I mean, it's the best song on the album, and my favorite Judas Priest song, hands down. It's perfect. The lyrics are just
Mhm.
spatial, and then they get weird and they start talking about Berlin, but it doesn't matter. It's just so cool. Such a great song.
Yep.
Oh,
The great
Dissident
song.
Aggressor.
And Slayer does it great too.
Yep. Slayer does a
But
great
not
job.
quite as
Absolutely.
good. And I don't even want to hear about that Hell or whatever band because it's not as good. No, don't even come near me with that shit. No, it does not come
It's a
close.
great cover.
It's a
It
good
is a
cover,
great
but the
cover.
originals, the
Oh
best.
yeah, I'm not saying it.
Well,
I didn't say
Slayer
it
is
was
good, but
better.
there's that other one, that Hailstorm or whatever the fuck.
Who?
Whatever
What?
the fuck.
Someone else covers that?
There's been a few. Yeah, there's been a few covers of that.
I didn't
Right.
know. I've only really remember those two. Hailstorm covers that. That chick?
Slayer.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I've never heard that version. Maybe I don't want to. If you're saying it's so wonderful.
All right, Butch.
Emerald. Next. You already said it. There's nothing else to
One
say.
of the greats. Yes, indeed.
It's if you had one song to play for someone that says, okay, you keep talking about Thin Lizzy, give me one song. It's that one.
That's the song,
And it ain't The Boys Are Back in Town.
No.
which
No,
is still a good song.
It's a great song. It's a
But-
great song.
Right.
It's not Emerald.
It's not ever.
I have gone on record.
And everybody
more
knows
times
that.
than I care to admit that Boys Are Back in Town, to me, is not even in the top 20 greatest Thin Lizzy songs. As good a song as it is.
I would agree with that statement. Just because they got
Mhm.
so many amazing songs.
But
And
not
it-
that
I- it
song,
would-
like,
I think
would've
it-
never heard them.
I think it would have to make the top 20 just because just forget its popularity. Just as a song, the
Yeah.
story, the twin guitars, there's a lot of stuff in that would have to make it in the top 20. But trust me, I could easily make you a top 30 without it. But
That's what I'm saying, right?
yeah, but it deserves to be though.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
Just
need
the
to
way
hear it
he goes,
anymore. But
Deserves, or whether it has to be on my list, are two totally different.
Exactly. I will tell you this though. I will tell you this. It makes me smile if I'm watching a TV commercial and I hear it in a commercial. I'm like, yeah, pay Phil's family.
Right on.
So I think
That's
that
Oh
that's
yeah,
sweet.
that's a good point. And the lyrics are just—they really put you in a good mood. I guess it's like such a good storytelling song.
story's
you know?
phenomenal.
It really is good.
When I was a
don't
young
want to go forget her.
Yeah.
when I was
You
a
don't wanna
young
forget
kid, when I was a young kid, people thought they were talking about Middletown, New York, because the rock club in town, the nightclub was called Dino's, and I remember people in school going, they were hanging out in Middletown. Like, no, they weren't.
Yeah, the band from Ireland was hanging out in Middletown, New York.
But
Yeah,
they're hanging
I don't
out.
think the
at-
math is really.
they're hanging
confused on
out
that.
at Dino's, and I mean,
Yeah,
Dino's
Dino's
was
Bar
where
and Grill
everybody
from
played
Middletown.
back then.
Hey, if that guy that owned it was smart, he would have played that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were here.
They stopped by on the tour.
They
and
sat
was-
right there.
They broke down. Yeah.
And at Dino's Bar and Grill.
Exactly.
You know what bugs me about Boys Are Back in Town, the whole Thin Lizzy thing, especially here in this country, when you're with a group of people and that song comes on, they're like, "Oh, I love that song. I don't know who it is, but I love that song." And I'm like,
I don't know who it is. That's definitely not Butch.
I hate
He's-
that, man. That's like,
You are so right. People, obviously people that know me know I love Lizzie. And then like, yeah, but I don't know Thin Lizzy. I've never heard them before. I'm like, yeah, you have.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I haven't. And then you say, Boys Are Back in Town? No. And then you play them 3 notes. Oh yeah. It's like, yeah, I know.
It's like Bull Oyster Cult. Don't feel the Reaper. Yeah, it's like who's
Exactly.
that? Yeah, get the
Yep.
fuck out of here. Great.
I love that song too. I love that song too.
That's all-
It's a great
Great.
song, and it's a great lyrically. It's another great song.
Yeah.
Both of
I
those
can
songs are
still hear that.
76.
I'm never tired of that song.
I never tire either of those songs.
No.
all right, Craig.
All right, this is a band I've mentioned several times on the show. I still hold out hope that I can do an album ranking someday with Pete and Ryan, maybe. And that is Rose Tattoo. The last song on their debut is a song called Astra Wally. It's the longest song on the album, about 6 minutes. It's an epic. Slide guitars all over the place. Angry Anderson screaming his ass off. Part of the chorus is the lyrics are, "It ain't funky coming down in jail." And it is such a great song. Please go out and play it and give these guys some love. Rose Tattoo from Australia, one of my favorite bands. And just every time I hear this song, it sends chills with all the screams and the slide guitar, and just such a great rock and roll song. And it deserves your love, Rose Tattoo.
I remember I had Scarred for Life on the album when I came
That's a
out.
good one too.
Well, Craig, if you and Ryan are game, I've never owned the Rose Tattoo album in my life, but if you two guys want to do an album ranking, I'll be
Yeah,
happy.
I love
that
them.
would
You
be
would love them
cool.
too. They're a
Yeah,
great rock
Yeah.
band.
Yeah.
Just awesome, like good, dirty, scuzzy '70s rock.
All right, Bryce.
Well, my number one was Nick's number two, so we talked about it a little bit, but I got Dante's Inferno by Iced Earth. Just to me, that's like the epic of all epics. It's the closer to their '95 album, Burnt Offerings, their first album with Matt Barlow on the vocals. He's got a
Album.
super cool, powerful voice, and just the riffing, the galloping fast riffs here from John Schaefer are just amazing. And if you go watch their performance of this song from Alive in Athens, it's just like the most majestic, amazing performance ever. How perfect they play it. It's just a beast song. So that is my number one, and Nick's number one was my number two, and that is Hallowed Be Thy Name. So
All right.
yeah.
I see
Hey,
Ralph,
Rise there.
Ralph is
Well,
joining us.
Shocked.
So for my final pick, do I go Zeppelin? Do I go Deep Purple? Do I go Zeppelin? Do I go Deep Purple? If you know me, I'm going to go with freaking, Space Truckin' off of Machine Head. Gotta happen. Gotta happen. One of the great album closers of all time. They do it live, and it's 27 minutes. Well, at least back then it was. But had to throw Deep Purple in here tonight somewhere. You know?
Most certainly was 27.
That's it. Damn was, especially on that tour, right? Yeah.
How do you have
Oh,
the
man.
They're
endurance?
giving you your money's worth.
Yes.
That's
Just
right.
something.
Ralph, what's going on?
I was just going to
Hey,
ask you guys
Ralph!
where Ralph was tonight.
Thought it was at 9 o'clock.
9
No,
o'clock. Where you been?
never at 9 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
That was my show last week on Monday when they weren't here.
Oh yeah, Pete's always 8.
What's
Time warp.
going on, Ralph?
Well, you made it here before we go. I'm
That's-
sure
you-
Peter
you're
let
just
you.
in time, Ralph, to give us your 5 picks.
Yeah, perfect timing actually.
Yeah, really, Ralph.
I should pull out next week. I thought it was 9, man.
Rocky Horror Picture Show doing the time warp.
I just got a text from somebody at the show with the Queensryche and Marty Friedman just blew away everybody just now.
Cool.
Yeah,
Good
cool.
for them.
All right, Ralph, what do you got?
All right, first I got Morpheus Descends, local Hudson Valley great
Yes.
death metal band. The song Ritual of Infinity, the title track. Number 2, I got Trepanum Pal,
Wow.
the song Soft Mouth Vagina, for band from France.
I remember that well.
Album came out in 1989.
It's the first time for me. Never heard that one.
That Trapana Pal is kind of like Voivodish.
And you said I'd have no contact or competition for Necrocock, but there you go.
There you go.
think we have a winner.
Remember song
What a
now, but guys-
Ralph
combination!
for the win.
There you go. You know, it's
Not
like
to,
crispy glove, you know?
not to interrupt
Hey, Ryan,
Ralph,
it's a-
but I mean, who's heard? I'm very familiar with that band, aren't you, Ryan?
I've heard them, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The match made in heaven.
Yeah, that first album was just amazing. There was nothing like that. I mean, it had the tinges of Voivod to them, but
Mm-hmm.
they never really topped that first album. The first three are great, but I really love that first one. I got Grave from this album Soulless, the song Scars, great Swedish death metal band. That album's from '94. I got Ripping Corpse, Dreaming with the Dead,
Oh, that's a great one. Good band.
and the song was Seduction of the Innocent. And I'm wearing the shirt for this band, Human Remains from New Jersey, using sickness as a hero. And the song is Beyond Human Perception. Did you guys do like the honorable mentions too?
No,
No,
not
we're-
yet.
we're
We were just about
wrapping
to.
around.
Just
So, yeah,
about to.
perfect timing.
All right,
Just if you wonder what we were laughing at before, Ryan was giving us this great history of this wonderful musician named Necrocock. So that
Master's
was-
Hammer.
oh yeah.
Fuck yeah. Ralph, that's a great Human Remains shirt too. I don't think I've ever seen anybody with a Human Remains shirt in my life.
Yeah, this is before their albums came out when they were just a demo band. They actually played in Middletown. They played with Morpheus at the Class.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And yeah, I got their demos in the early 7 inches and stuff. I actually got two different Human Remains shirts too. I got another one, a blue one.
They were a great
Ralph,
New Jersey
Ralph
band.
has everything. He's got more
Yeah.
stuff
How do you
than the
guys
Rock
still
and
have
Roll Hall
shirts
of
from
Fame.
like the 80s? I don't, man, mine like fell apart. And
I am.
I couldn't fit in mine.
Climate controlled room.
did you ever wear them, or are you just wearing them now because it's now they're like in
You
fashion?
know what it is I was always going to shows and always buying new shirts, so I didn't wear them out. Like when I was a kid.
So you had so many of them. Gotcha.
The
Okay.
shirts fell apart as a kid because I'd wear them. I only had so many, and I'd wear them every day. But as I got older and kept collecting more and more shirts, I have retirement bins, I call them, and I would only pull them out for special occasions and stuff. So
Smart. It's a smart way to
Tonight's a special occasion.
Right
Yeah, it's a
on.
cool shirt.
do it. All right. Honorable mention time. Let's circle back to Ryan.
All right. So since we've been talking about Thin Lizzy a bunch, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite Thin Lizzy closing songs. And it is the final track on Fighting, Ballad of a Hard Man.
Yes, indeed.
Brian Robertson, Scott Gorham, great fucking song. Almost has like a little bit of a Motorhead vibe to it, although it would predate Motorhead, but it just has like that kind of that dirty sound to it. Really
It's a
good.
great riff, by Scott Gorham.
Totally awesome riff. Two of my favorite Voivod songs. I'll just do a double one here. The opening, the intro to this song, the final track on their 1984 album War and Pain, is called Nuclear War. It just has this heavy, like, it's just this headbanging, fucking awesome riff. Then it gets into faster parts, like, you know, it turns more of a thrash song. But this whole opening section is like one of the heaviest fucking things they ever did. And then the final song on their next album, Roar, from 1986, is called To the Death. I think it's the best song on the album. It's just fucking heavy. It's just a total blitzkrieg. Awesome. And I'll do one or two quick more here. The final track, going to more epic stuff, from the 1983 album from Manila Road, U.S. band from Wichita, Kansas. Unfortunately deceased now because the main guy Mark Shelton passed away a couple of years ago. Was called Dreams of Eschaton, and it's just this great epic heavy metal, you know, song telling tales of like the end of the world. Very this band always had really good, like profound, like literate lyrics. Like, you know, now I love like Man of War kind of stuff as much as the next guy, you know, and a lot of like that stuff. But these guys had really, like, I think pretty smart lyrics for like a pretty classic metal band. Like, they weren't just writing about the same stuff over and over. And this is just an awesome album and a band that wrote many, many great epic songs. But yeah, Dreams of Eschaton, fucking awesome. And I'll do one more. I'll go down to Australia because we've visited Australia and I haven't visited them yet. And it's one of my favorite countries for metal. One of my favorite Aussie bands, 2002, Gospel of the Horns, Call to Arms, The Trial of Mankind. That's all I'll say. It's fucking great. Good black metal, good black thrash metal. Sounds like if Motorhead was really, really into Satan. That's all I'll say about that. Really into Satan. Good stuff.
Sounds like a plan.
It's I fucking love. This is one of my favorite albums of all time. But they broke up a couple years ago. It was the number one band that I never got to fucking see. And of all the bands, I've seen a lot of the bands I wanted to see. You know, I've been pretty lucky on that regard. Some bands broke up long before I was born, or, you know, I never, like Thin Lizzy, never had a chance to see Thin Lizzy, obviously, with Phil.
Right.
These guys, I had an opportunity. They did play in California in 2007, but I was a little too it was before I flew around the world going to shows. Still a little too young, so I didn't go. They never came back to the States. They played a couple of shows in Europe, but just couldn't pull it together money wise, time off. So I never got to see them, and they will never play again, I've been told. So fuck me. So, but anyways, great song, great album.
Is it just me, or is Ryan's greatest albums list of all time getting bigger?
It's tremendous. Well, I mean, it's pretty
He
long.
never repeats any of them. I'm like, holy cow, that's a long list.
It's a very long list, and I'm always adding new ones to it, but never deleting.
All right, before I forget, because I did have his list, let me read you Chris Allo's 5 picks for tonight. So he's got Man of War, Blood of the Kings.
Nice.
Here's one we have not mentioned tonight, except Princess of the Dawn.
Oof. Never liked this one that much.
No. Merciful Fate, Come to the Sabbath.
All right.
Slayer, Raining Blood. And
Yeah.
Judas Priest, One Shot at Glory.
Wow, really? Wow.
It's their best album.
Surprise.
It's
It's their best album.
No.
Man of War got a lot of good,
Man of War has a-
Bridge of Death,
Great
Battle
record.
Hymn. Yeah, Man of War got a lot of good. We didn't mention any of them. Oh well. Chris picking up the slack.
There you go. And Rob, I will recommend you probably should listen to Manila Road if you've never heard them before. I think.
Oh yeah, you'd love them.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I've heard of them.
Good band. A lot of good albums.
Yeah.
Good,
Uh-huh.
real good.
Got to put it in the comments because I always forget. I got CRS. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, it goes in one ear. I have the same way. It flies around and goes right back out.
That's because me and you are old, bro.
no. I'm gonna give you a quick 5.
Okay.
My number 1 was gonna be tied, but I went with the Iron Maiden song, Judas Priest, 1982, "Screaming for Vengeance," "Devil's Child." One of my favorite songs by
Really?
Priest.
That's a good song.
Halford's vocals on that is incredible. He was
His
in
vocals are
Prime.
great.
I remember seeing them in at the Garden, and he was doing the song, and I waved over, and Rob came over. That's where I got that picture from him. He's right next to the cabinet.
Oh,
So
that's
for
awesome.
me, it's always been my favorite song because he came over, let me take a picture of him. So that's the big deal for that. My other one is Dio, "Lock Up the Wolves" from 1990 album. My Eyes. I don't know if you guys like that song or not. I love that
This is
song.
no Viv, no thanks, right?
I like the lyrics from that song. Then I'm gonna go with something new. I'm gonna go with Petrucci on his latest Terminal Velocity album from 2020, "Temple of Circadia,"
That's a good one. Yeah.
which was great. He did that. He did that with Portnoy a couple months ago when I saw them, and it was incredible. Tore down the house. Here's another one. Dream Theater. I know you always say I never mentioned Dream Theater. "Train of Thought," "In the Name of God."
Thank you. Yeah, I have it on my.
Great album.
That's
And a
awesome.
great ending song. Yeah. And then I have one that I had to put on the list because you know me, I love Robin Trower for "Earth Below" from 1975. One of my favorite, all-time favorite songs from Robin Trower. So for "Earth Below."
His most underrated album, in my opinion. I
Yep.
love it.
And one of the albums that I started my listening to him with.
Oh, that was your gateway to him? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but that was one of the 3 my mom got me for Christmas in '77.
It's so good. It's so, everybody talks about Bridge of Sighs, and it's great and might be his best one, but for Earth Below, I think it's just as good. It's a little different.
And then City Dreams.
Yeah.
That's good too.
love
That's
that
different
too.
also. Yeah, the first album, man. Yeah, it's good. Good stuff. Cool. All right, Steve.
All right. Most everybody has picked everything that I have had written down, but I do have a couple things. I'm going with 1985 Exodus Bonded by Blood album, The Strike of the Beast. But that's a great track from that album. I'm going to go with Black Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Spiral Architect. I love that song.
You sure that's the last song?
I hope it is. I hope it is, Butch. And I'm going to go with 1994. We're going over to Norway, black metal with Mayhem with the De Mysterious Dom Satanis album. And it's also the closing track, which is very epic.
Great song.
And me and Scal agree on that. I'm going with 1976 Black Sabbath Technical Ecstasy with Dirty Women too. And that's all I got.
Dirty Women is
I'm
great.
surprised none of you guys picked Amorphous.
I looked at Amorphous a little bit, but I didn't find any what I briefly looked at, I didn't see a closer that I really was. I kind of did what Butch. What came to my mind, and I looked at Maiden. I'm like, oh man, Maiden. I was like 5 in a row here.
Cool.
And then I thought Black Sabbath had one, but
Sabbath's
I
got a
picked it
lot.
wrong. Over and over was not my closer. So.
All right, Karen, you got any left?
Yeah, I've got Bomber. I didn't want to be redundant, so I wasn't really planning on doing honorable mentions, but I was gonna say Merciful Fate and Bomber. And that's really it for me. I didn't really dig too deep because
Start digging, and before you know, you got a pile. It's like, you know.
yeah, right. And I was so into the ones that I picked that I felt that I didn't need to go any further, especially Dissident Aggressor. When I get something in my head, I just focus on it. And for a long time, I just could not get Dissident Aggressor out of my head. And I just, poor Ryan had to hear about it all the fucking time. And
It's a good song. It's a good song.
So and that's been going around. So I just, I just zoned in on, especially that song is the best for me. So.
All right, Butch.
Yeah, we could go. I could go on for hours, so there's no need
Yeah.
for that. So just a couple, because I have this here. So Winds of Change from Y&T's Black Tiger, great epic slow song that builds, and Medicetti's just awesome on guitar and vocals. Another phenomenal.
How about I Believe in You from the album before it?
Yeah, that's a great one too.
Woo.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Saxon's where the Eagle Has Landed from Power and Glory.
Yes.
That's you talk about epic, man. That's just tremendous. And because you guys keep talking about Priest, what about Steeler from British Steel?
Yep.
That's a great one.
Yep.
So that's it.
You know what? We all fucked up. The best Priest closer is Dreamer Deceiver from Seven Rings of Destiny.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. That's
Not
some of
the
the
best.
best lead work they ever
It's
did.
a great one. Yeah.
The leads on that song are just
Again,
magical.
Halford's vocals on that is incredible. I
It
mean,
really is. That is a great song.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
I may have another one for you guys, but I'll wait. So, Craig.
All right, I'll speed round these. Candlemass, A Sorcerer's Pledge.
Yes.
You got Saxon, Denim and Leather. A couple of rainbow ones, not from Dio, but Lost in Hollywood.
That's
And don't sleep on these Joe Lynn Turner ones. Eyes of Fire is a really great song from Straight Between the Eyes. Black-Hearted Woman by Blue Murder. Roses on Black Lace from Alice Cooper. That's a classic ender.
Love that record.
The No One Came from Fireball. Always loved that. Making Love All Night Long from Kiss.
Yes.
Ted Nugent's Out of Control from Cat Scratch Fever. Always liked more of that jazz. The last song on Jazz, sung by Roger Taylor. It's a good thumper, and it has like each song is played for just a few seconds, actually, on the very last song. Animal Magnetism from
Peter, I hope you're keeping track of who's got the most honorable mentions here.
Yeah, right.
That was over 15 minutes ago.
I'm surprised Butch didn't mention this, but On Fire from
Obviously it was there. I just let it go.
Won't get fooled again. Won't get fooled again by the Who. And last one to Nick Franco, because he is born of Black Wind, Fire, and Steel.
Oh,
there you go. There you go.
that's a fucking good one right there.
It is. It is. All right, Bryce.
Well, for me, the closer on each of the first 6 Megadeth albums, Mechanics, My Last Words, Hook and Mouth, which I've previously ranked one of my top 5 favorite Megadeth songs in general. I think that's just an amazing, underrated song. Rust in Peace, Polaris, and even I mentioned Ashes in Your Mouth already, and then also Victory, I think is a really cool, underrated song from Euthanasia. Might as well mention my favorite Metallica song, Metal Militia. And from my favorite Ozzy album, we got Shot in the Dark.
Oof.
So
That's the one song I skipped from that record to this day.
Boy, you and
that
Butch
is
are just
that's
opposites.
pretty unfortunate because that's an amazing
I
song.
love that album. I don't like that song. Never have.
Great.
You know what?
song.
I completely forgot that was the last song on the album.
It is.
Because you don't
It
listen.
makes it
to
easy to skip.
It just
That song
in my mind,
rules.
that was always like middle of side 1, and I'm like, oh, that's right. It's the last song. on the album.
Because well, actually, no, title
It is a
track.
weird placement for a single too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But you think of like Rainbow in the Dark was pretty late on side 2 on Holy Diver as well, right? So,
Yep. Shame on the Night. There's a great ender. No one
Oh,
said
yeah.
that.
That's a great one.
yeah.
Hey, My Last Words is definitely my favorite Megadeth song by like
Yeah.
100 miles.
yeah,
I love that fucking
That
song. I
outro
love
solo
it.
there, yeah. Mustaine solo at the end is just
Phenomenal. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Good sing along track, a lot of power.
Ralph's got, I'm sure he's got all his vinyl ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at him.
He's gonna beat Craig.
And it's show and tell.
Harmony Corruption from Napalm Death, my
Napalm
favorite
Death.
Death album. You got the 7-inch for Suffer the Children. Righteous Pigs, Stress Related.
That's
The
good.
song Manson Clan, great song. Here's a new one for 2021, Crypta.
See him tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna see him Friday. I got tickets to go up to Albany.
Oh, cool.
And Crypta had their RV got crushed during that tornado where the roof came down
Oh,
and
yeah.
more dangerous show, and they really screwed our whole tour up with making money because they owe like $60,000. The insurance didn't cover it for some reason, so they got like a GoFundMe going for them, and I'm gonna try to buy some merch from them. Everybody got to try to support them.
I believe that they did get the 60,000 through the GoFundMe already, if I'm not
That's good.
mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. It was not their fault, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't like
how
to cover
insurance
the
works
extra
sometimes.
cost.
It's amazing that that tour even got to continue. They actually let the bands into the venue the next morning to retrieve their gear, merch, whatever was in there, because there, I mean, it could have been where you didn't get your merch even out and your
I think
band
it really
equipment to
fucked
get
that.
out. Yeah.
And the headliners for this Friday: Morbid Angel from Altars of Madness, Evil Spells, great closer. Ludacris, Immaculate Deception, God is Everywhere. There's a part in the song where he's complaining to a waiter about there's a God in his soup. And
There's a God in my soup.
Crumbsuckers, Life of Dreams,
Wow.
Mr. Hyde,
I heard that in a long time.
I know, right?
real powerful, hardcore. And my
That
last
Luda,
one
yeah.
from the Czech Republic, Gutlax, which shit happens. Like
Wow.
crazy burping, squealing, gore grind, porno grind.
2 points for the Czechs tonight.
2 bands from the Czech Republic. Wow, what a guys. Sound a little different, but you know.
Czechoslovakia.
They
I'm
share the
old.
same necrocog.
Yashamash.
This CD hasn't left my car since I've gotten it pretty much. I love leaving my job whenever I see everybody, all the co-workers outside, like hanging around, bullshitting. I love putting the CD in and drive out the place. And they probably think it's the only band I ever listen to because it's the only thing they ever hear. I crank it and they just hear this fucking crazy burping and it's so nuts. They wear hazmat suits on stage and they got like inflatable porta potties. They throw toilet paper
Jeez.
all out. If you want to see what they're about, they got an unbelievable video called Shitbusters. And
Well, Typo used to do that. Typo used to throw toilet paper out.
these in the video, these shit demons come out of the toilet. They
Shit
got corn
demons.
on them. They
Hey,
got
Pete, you
toilet
got
paper all over 'em. And then the band Gutlax gets called like Ghostbusters, and they come with plungers and they beat the shit out of the,
Oh,
the
that
shit
sounds
demon.
awesome.
I'm immediately looking this up. Oh my god.
Dude,
that's
the
a-
video is so funny.
Hey, Pete, I think this topped your, what's that? The necrocock.
Yeah, you know, hey, it is what it is.
You
You know?
he wanted this
Beginning
top.
in the end, right? Yep.
There you go. You didn't see it coming, but sometimes in the last
Yeah,
inning, bottom of the ninth comes
the
in.
shit demons are going to attack you.
Sounds
Ralph
like
Simon and
Challenge
Trailer
accepted.
Park
Demons
Boys.
I'm impressed.
The name of the song is Shit 'Em All, and the name of the album is Shit Happens, but all their song titles are Justin Sabine. And they're such a funny,
So the album's all about poop.
pretty much.
Okay.
Necrocock, the shit demons wielding plungers. All right.
Yeah, I just give up
Watch
with boring
the video.
stuff like Iron Maiden.
Ladies Dan from freaking Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, well, thank you for all that, Ralph.
That's a good way to end things too. That's a nice
I
little.
think I gotta
punctuation.
use some toilet.
Yeah, I don't know how I can
You
follow.
already are. You're doing it right now. You're on.
Rob,
the-
you and I had to follow the unfollowable here. All right, so well, I will just talk about Judas Priest and Grace Closers. How about Island of Fucking Domination, right?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Gotta have that. And all right, so back to Zeppelin. How about When the Levee Breaks
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Bring It On Home?
Yeah.
That was gonna be on my list, but I don't know.
There's so many, right?
I know.
Under the Sun from Black Sabbath, Volume 4. Under the Sun, and how about Fairies Wear Boots?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good one.
How about The End by The Doors?
Yes.
Killer
It's
closer.
actually one
right?
of my favorite songs by the Doors. Yep.
Oh yeah. All right. I think Rob already mentioned In the Name of God. How about Learning to Live from Images and Words from Dream Theater? How about, let's see, Death of Mother Nature Suite from Kansas.
There you go.
Also, let's go with Magnum Opus from Kansas as well.
There you
Wow.
go.
Because Karen asked a couple weeks ago, how about Lark's Tongues and Aspie Part 2, King Crimson?
Oh yeah.
Killer
Okay.
closer. And last but so I might have a couple of this. But last but not least, Wind Up from Jethro Tull on the Aqualung album. And then to give a little bit more love to UFO, how about Queen of the Deep from Phenomenon? This Kids, another
This
one from
Kids.
UFO. And I think that might be it. Damage Incorporated by Metallica. And I think that's all I got. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Hey, Karen.
And lots of closers.
Hi to Karen's dad.
Oh,
My
I
fan.
have to tell him.
Hi,
Yeah,
Karen's
there
dad.
you go. Yeah, he likes you, Butch. He really does.
You got
I
any
appreciate it.
words of wisdom for Karen's dad, Butch?
Bourbon.
Drink more
All
bourbon.
right. Yeah, my dad is he's very passionate about music. Like I came out of my room today, just to get ready for work. And he's sitting there with his headphones on, listening to Duke Ellington or
Awesome.
Frank Sinatra or whatever. He loves like a lot of big band jazz and stuff like that.
Cool. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong
Well, I'm
with that.
not surprised to hear that, considering that as much as you're into music, so makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's definitely where I got it from. And my brother, same.
Awesome.
Cool. So there you have it, everybody. All sorts of great album closers, but of course, we didn't mention them all. So please list your favorite 5 or 10, however you want, however many you want, down in the comments below, and we'll be sure to check those out. And visit us on the web at the Mets must be winning because my wife is going ballistic in the other room. On the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together.
All the
The
damn
damn
time.
All the damn time.
Stay tuned in
Never
2
close.
weeks. We're going to talk about some of those reunion shows or reunion tours that we always wanted to see that we just never got. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that and lots more here on the channel. So till next time, I am Pete Pardo for Ralph, for Bryce, for Craig, for Steve, for Karen, for Butch, for Rob, and for Ryan. I am Pete Pardo. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Boom.